So to understand the basic difference between a disk-based processing and a memory-based processing, you can take a very directly example of a laptop. So you must be knowing about that laptop has a part of HDD, that is hard disk drives, and then they can also getting the configuration of SSD, solid state drives. So in this way you can understand the different kinds of storage that can happen and that processing can happen. So in HDD, if you like look at the structure of a hard drive, then they have a disk kind of a structure and there's a needle. So whatever the data that you are writing, it goes through the needle and some electrical signals are getting generated and it is written on the rotating kind of disk that is actually rotating in hard drive. So that is a disk based processing, like you are writing on a disk, and if you are reading, then that is also a disk based processing. But again, if you are using a solid state kind of devices for storage, that is SSD in your laptop, so that there is no mechanical movement of any kind of disk. So that is a direct storage, that you have a chip and whatever the data that you are sending, it is getting written in that. So there must be some transistors in the chip, that mini transistors are getting created in that, and the data that you are sending, that is getting stored and processed there. So this is the kind of difference. Now what is the use case of a disk based processing and a memory based processing for a data engineer? So if we talk about MapReduce, the big data, Hadoop is a part of a big data, and then MapReduce is for computation. So what MapReduce does, there's a map phase and then is a reduce phase. So what it in the first phase, that is a map phase, is takes the data from the disk, processes it, and writes the intermediate result in disk, like directly, and then reduce phase takes the data from disk only, processes it, and gives the output or writes the output in the disk only. So this all takes a lot of time. So that, if we talk about another, that is Apache Spark, so it supports the memory based processing. So now what it takes, like it takes the data from the disk, reads it, and stores it in a memory, it processes it, and the output is actually there only, and then again some processing is done, and then finally it can write the output to the disk or wherever it wants. But there is nothing like that, the intermediate results needs to be written there. So there's no intermediate results there also. Some different kinds of processing is done, the whole processing is different. But I want to make sure, like, it is not related to disk based processing, it is completely based on memory of the executor node. So this is how you distinguish between a disk based processing and a memory based processing. Also, the disk based processing is slow because now it has to actually search the whatever data that needs to be read, and now it takes a lot of time when the data is in the scale of petabytes or terabytes, something like that, that is big data. Then it takes a lot of time reading it from a disk based processing kind of format. So that's why this Apache Spark comes into picture. Now that is a part of different video, but this is how, what is the difference between a disk based processing and a memory based processing.